Oil, one of the most sought after substances in human history. Now, I'm not putting this oil in this truck because that's completely wrong oil. It's just demonstration purposes. But it's interesting because, you know, I was talking to someone today, and it's amazing to find someone who can entertain an idea without accepting it. Don't accept what I'm about to say, but entertain it for a moment. That's the mark of an intelligent person. Is it possible that everything you know about fossil fuels is a lie? 1893, Rockefeller Foundation. Rockefeller owned Standard Oil. Standard Oil, biggest oil company on earth at the time. That foundation also controls the public education system. In 1893, there's an eyewitness you can look up right now on YouTube. Type in origins of oil. This guy was at the Geneva Convention, and there's other evidence which corroborates his story. He was at the Geneva Convention. He sat at a table with Kissinger, Henry Kissinger, big names. They're talking. Rockefeller paid these scientists at the table to speak at this convention, to call oil a fossil fuel, to induce the idea of scarcity. It doesn't come from fossils. It doesn't come from fossils. But then, the years following, education systems started using the words fossil fuels, and they started creating a language and a scientific explanation for how it is possible that this black substance is from fossils, to induce the idea of scarcity. If you hear fossil fuels, you automatically think, well, this stuff's going to run out one day. Of course. Who wouldn't think that? If you hear fossils, fossils aren't regenerating. It's to induce the idea of scarcity, to increase the price for oil. So think about this for a second. The entire world right now thinks oil comes from a fossil. If fossils turned into oil, why are there still fossils? You think about that for a second? Oh, it's phytoplankton. It's because these pockets of phytoplankton have died and they turned into oil. They've drilled for oil deeper than phytoplankton have ever been found. Okay? It's a myth. I'm going to tell you right now, my opinion, from the evidence and research, it's a myth. Origins of oil. YouTube that. Watch a video. And ask, you know, don't Google it, because you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff how this is a mindless conspiracy theory, which they use that term to discredit critical thinkers. Ask yourself after watching this video, and after watching Origins of Oil on YouTube, wow, is it possible that people with power would conspire for more power and do tricky things to get more power? Fossil fuels. It's a myth. When you hear that word, look, Russians have hundreds of studies. They've been drilling for oil, tapping a well dry, coming back a year later, and it's full again. They're doing that for 30 years in a row. Oil doesn't run out. Los Angeles. There are buildings in Los Angeles right now that look like just a regular building, but it's an oil well, an oil, you know, drilling, that they have been there for 150 years and it's still pumping oil out of the ground. Just like water. If you want to talk about the primary water cycle, oil and water never run out. They're self-replenishing. So if it's not a fossil fuel, what is it? Russians and even German scientists in World War II, they believe it's an abiotic mineral that is constantly replenishing deep underneath the earth. Keep in mind, we've only drilled, like two miles down the earth's crust. We have never been farther than that. We don't even know what's down there. How are they going to tell us, no, oil can't do that because it's blah, blah, blah. Watch the video. It's a myth. Now, speaking of myths, Agenda 21. Why are they lying about all these things? Where's this going? What are they trying to do? Well, eventually they want you on a full-blown electric car so that you can't leave the smart grid. The car won't take you anywhere it's not programmed to go. And they pulverize the roads out that lead out of the city, so you have to stay there. This is Agenda 21, Project Wildlands. Look this stuff up. Don't take my word for it. I'm going to tell you, part of Agenda 21 is Codex Alimentarius. Codex Alimentarius declares, it's basically a program or it's what they think the food supply should become. And it will be completely controlled top down by these corporations and whatnot that will say that the food isn't safe to eat if it's not sprayed with pesticides. The meat isn't safe to eat unless it's pumped with hormones and antibiotics. And that's Codex Alimentarius. It also declares in Codex Alimentarius that nutrients are toxins. There's a war on humanity, folks. There's a big war going on right now. We need to be aware of it. Otherwise, we're going to be smart chipped, micro-gridded, connected to AI, and with no freedoms. And this is what George Orwell's book was talking about. This is what Aldous Huxley was talking about. Many people have tried to expose this stuff, but if they join the club, then they find this out, then try to expose it, they get whacked. But guys like me, I mean, I'm just sharing my thoughts with you folks. So part of the war on humanity is the war on minerals and the food and water supply. This is why every single day you can look up, Google, how much minerals are in conventional food today than 100 years ago? Less than 10%. Less than 10%. If you're eating an all organic diet right now, you're getting like maybe 11% of the minerals you should be getting. Or put it this way, a tomato today has 60 times less iron in it than a tomato 80 years ago. That's how rich the soils were. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to organic farming methods, etc. This is why every single day I take various